I said in my last video that Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka were going to be tested in their opening round matches at Indian Wells, but I didn't think it was going to be this much of a test. Hi, my name is Christian Basnight and welcome back to my YouTube channel. 19-year-old Coco Gauff made history on Saturday, becoming the first teenager to win 50 matches at the WTA 1000 level. Gauff's landmark win was one to remember as she fought back from the brink of defeat to down France's Clara Burel 2-6, 6-3, 7-6. I still have no idea how Coco managed to win that match. Actually, yes, I do. It's her fight. But still, so many top players would have folded if they're in her shoes, considering the deficits that she faced. She was down 6-2 to love, and then down love 4 double break in the decider. She was then down 2-5 love 15 in the third set, but she turned the match completely around with a clutch stab volley to keep herself in it. Coco then won the last 4 or 5 games and took the tiebreaker relatively comfortably 7-4 to live another day. I knew Burel could really challenge Coco. First, she already had a match under her belt here in Indian Wells. Plus, she's just a consistent baseliner who makes you play a lot of balls. But she can step up and go for her shots when she needs to. Clara also has experience in playing top players and beating them, as she took down Rybakina and Pliskova in the past 2 US Opens. So she definitely performs well on the big stages. Now, talking about how Coco plays, she played horrible in the first set, honestly, and a lot of that was due to how poorly she served. Oftentimes, when your serve is off, so is your overall game and confidence, and that was definitely the case here with Coco, as she improved her first serve percentage from 41% in the first set to 74% in the second set, which made all the difference. From the second on, she was much more solid from the ground, and she came forward with great success too, just being more aggressive. The start of the third set honestly wasn't that bad from Gauff. She just wasn't playing the big points well enough. Plus, giving credit to Burel, she upped her level significantly as well. Gauff's greater experience though in these pressure moments is what got her through in the end. This was yet another case of Coco winning ugly, and that type of thing has definitely been promoted by her new coach Brad Gilbert, who literally has a book called Winning Ugly. Brad has kind of instilled to Coco and has kind of told her that she doesn't need to play or rely on her A, B, or C level, and even in this case sometimes D level tennis to win her matches. She can just rely on her athleticism and fight alone to get her through. Coco has been doing this for a very long time now, even before Brad Gilbert, but even when she won the US Open, she was not playing her best tennis by any standards, especially, in the final against Aryna Sabalenka. Her fight and her athleticism once again got her through that match. In reality, Coco's really peak level came during the US Open warm-up events in the DC, Montreal, and Cincinnati tournaments. And to be honest, she has not played that well since those 3 tournaments. Still, she's had great success, of course, winning the US Open, and she made the semifinals of the Australian Open. But I feel like if she wants to reach that higher level and win double-digit slams like she's talking about wanting to do, she's got to make an effort to recapture that top golf form consistently. Up next for Coco is Lucia Bronzetti, who shouldn't cause her too many problems, but Naomi Osaka might not let her off the hook should they meet in the 4th round. Osaka, who earned her first top 20 win since Miami Open 2022, beat world number 15 Luidmilla Samsonova 7-5, 6-3 to progress to round 3. The straight sets affair was pretty topsy-turvy early on and saw Naomi take a early 4-1 lead before Samsonova rode off 4 consecutive games to serve for the set. Osaka regained her form though, and she won the last 3 games of that opening set, coming up with some clutch serving and shot making. The second set was much more straightforward though, as Naomi carried the lone break she acquired early on in that second set to the finish line. Up next for Osaka is another seed in 24th Elisa Mertens. Osaka will be the decent favorite in that one, but you cannot count out and underestimate the consistent fight of Mertens. Now, the match of the tournament, and so far the WTA match of the year, was Aryna Sabalenka outlasting American Peyton Stearns 6-7, 6-2, 7-6 under the lights. Stearns started incredibly, racing out to a 5-2 lead before Sabalenka clawed back to force it to a tiebreaker. Sabalenka was pretty sloppy in that breaker like she was for much of the earlier part of the set. Stearns meanwhile was much more solid and took a comfortable 7-2 tiebreak. The American held a break point at 1-all in the second set, but once Sabalenka saved it, a flip switched inside her and she played unbelievable tennis for the remainder of that set. Yes, Stearns' level dropped a little bit, but a lot of that was due to Aryna just playing outstanding tennis on all fronts. Her serve, her ground strokes, and even touch and net play were 10 out of 10. The way she played, I thought for sure Sabalenka was going to run away with the third set, but Stearns is a fighter and wasn't going to go away easily. Sabalenka did have a few break points early on and midway through that third set, but it was Stearns who got the first break of the decider at 4-all to serve for the match. Peyton went up 40-love with 3 match points at 5-4, but of course Sabalenka saved them all. The most impressive save was that 40-love point, which she won with a clean backhand winner. Sabalenka faced another match point at end, but she got out of trouble with an edgy forehand down the line shot, which forced a forehand error from Stearns. Stearns once again served for the match at 6-5, but Sabalenka once again was too clutch and was able to dig herself out of the hole. The tiebreaker was a roller coaster in itself, as Sabalenka held 3 match points at 6-3, which Stearns saved before Aryna finally ended it on her 4th attempt. For some reason, I just had the feeling that Stearns would test Sabalenka, even though she hadn't really done much this year thus far. But this result shows that she's definitely trending in the right direction. I touted her as a top young player to watch this year, and for good reason. She beat Ostapenko at Roland Garros last year, and she reached the US Open 4th round, pushing Vondrousova to 3 sets. I said previously that she has one of the biggest forehands on tour, and we saw that weapon on full display tonight. It honestly reminds me of an ATP player, the way that she likes to run around that backhand and hit the forehand. That's very rare on the WTA tour, where most women's players kind of prefer their backhand as opposed to their forehand. Stearns is only 22 years old and she has plenty of room to grow. I look forward to seeing her shake things up on the tour this year for sure. Now, focusing on my girl Aryna, she proved that her mental fortitude is almost up there with Gauff's. Aryna never quits now. We saw this in the US Open semifinal last year against Keys, where Aryna had no business coming back to win that match. But, she just finds a way somehow. Aryna is gritty, she's hood, she gets ghetto. Her leg was bleeding, she twisted her ankle or tweaked her ankle at 5-all in the third set. The crowd was behind Stearns, but against it all, she found a way to come through in the end. This was a huge win for Sabalenka, despite this only being a second round match. I say this because Sabalenka was kind of coming into this tournament not on a lot of confidence. She suffered an early round loss in Dubai to Donna Vekic, and if she had lost to Stearns, there would be a lot of questions building up of whether, she'd be having this high and then flopping, similar to how Naomi Osaka did in 2019 when she won the Australian Open, but then kind of tailed off towards the middle of the year. I do hope that ankle injury isn't serious and that she is 100% healthy to go for her next match against Emma Raducanu. Now, not all top seeds were as lucky as Aryna and Coco. We had a lot of upsets on the women's side. None too shocking though. The biggest was 5th seed Jessica Pegula falling to Anna Blinkova in 3 sets. This wasn't too much of a shock, as Blinkova has gotten a few scalps so far this year, most notably as she beat Rybakina at the Australian Open in that epic third round affair. And then, speaking of the Australian Open, finalist Qinwen Zheng, she fell to her compatriot Yu Wan in straight sets. Yu Wan has been playing tremendous tennis this year and is high in confidence, winning her maiden WTA Tour title in Austin last week. Wan now faces Caroline Dolehide, who beat 2-time Indian Wells champion Victoria Azarenka in 3 sets. Meanwhile, Sloane Stephens sent Sorana Cirstea packing in straight sets. The only 2-seeded third-round matchups in the bottom half of the women's draw are Caroline Garcia versus Maria Sakkari and Alina Svitolina going up against American Emma Navarro. All 4 of those women won their matches in 3 sets. On the men's side, meanwhile, we have 5 all-seeded affairs, with Tommy Paul taking on Dubai champion Ugo Humbert. Meanwhile, another American, Sebastian Korda, takes on 4th seed Daniil Medvedev. Grigor Dimitrov meets Adrian Manarino. Taylor Fritz, a former champion himself, faces off against Rio champion Sebastian Baez, and then Holger Rune will play Lorenzo Musetti, who took down Denis Shapovalov. I'm particularly interested to see how Medvedev and Korda shapes up, as the American Korda has won his last 2 matches against last year's runner-up Medvedev. World number 1 Novak Djokovic made his return to the desert for the first time in 5 years, coming through in 3 sets versus Alexander Vukic. The biggest upset thus far on the men's side is 8 seed Hubie Hurkacz falling in 3 sets to 37-year-old Gael Monfils. Monfils big the Polish men in the opening set, which is an incredible feat considering just how much of a serve bot Hurkacz is. Looking ahead to Sunday's top matches, we have a lot of intriguing matchups in the day session with Iga Świątek, who seeks revenge over Linda Noskova, and then we have Tiafoe Tsitsipas going on at the same time. Felix Auger-Aliassime faces defending champion Carlos Alcaraz, while Jasmine Paolini and Anna Kalinskaya give us a rematch of the Dubai final thriller. Jannik Sinner, Caroline Wozniacki, and Ben Shelton headline the rest of the action on Stadium 1, while Angelique Kerber and Veronika Kudermetova are sure to treat fans on Stadium 2. That's it for this video, and let me know your thoughts on Aryna and Coco's Houdini escapes and whether you think that we'll see even more upsets in the third round. On that note, comment below which third round matches you're most looking forward to watching. Make sure y'all subscribe to and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post more Indian Wells updates as the tournament progresses. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.